Coming to members, if I may, Councillor Albon.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And hopefully you'll bear with me. This is extremely difficult. We've got a local plan that says that's been agreed by council, foisted upon us by government that we have to have a local plan, and this area has been agreed for housing. The officers have a difficult task in dealing with policy, again, that's agreed and agreed by government, and they have to follow those processes. You know, the officers are not going to be here specifically to say you've got to do this. They come up with a recommendation that we either go along with or we don't. So I wanted to get that out of the way first. Secondly, one of the issues really that really hasn't been fully discussed in my opinion is the road traffic plan laid down by Kent County Council, and I couldn't attend the last meeting, although I did foolishly watch it on YouTube live. I hasten to add. I was shouting at the screen because I wanted a question asked, and no one asked the question, and I've asked that question of the local plan manager as to how and why was this site looked at and put in as part of the local plan for housing development. Because it's clear from the processes that we've gone through here over the last two meetings and this one, that this is a difficult site to develop. So therefore the applicant, this was dealt with through that local plan process, and the applicant would have known that this is a difficult site to develop. Anyway, if you bear with me, Chair, I just want to quote something that's come back from the local plan manager, and which he says, and I quote, "It's probably worth noting, although it says at background information, that one of the reasons for identifying this site in the local plan was to facilitate the completion of the inner circuit, which is the highway issue throughout the site, in line with the transport strategy to alleviate pressures on the road network in Thanet." Now, I don't agree with that, because I don't think this will, and I'll get to that in a minute. In Thanet, and achieve the long-term transport improvement, public transport, walking and cycling, blah, blah, blah. So a major part of this, it would seem to me, in this land being allocated, was to ensure that Kent County Council can get its highway traffic flow through. And I would just like to remind members who may or may not remember that there is a development that's got consent behind Salmston Grange. Now, part of that development under through the highway strategy is that Nash Lane would be cut off to traffic heading towards Westwood. This traffic layout will not solve the Coffin House corner issues. It will create more and more problems for this area, which will then spread out, and it will affect everybody in here and affect everybody in Margate, to be quite honest. I quite often use the Manston Road coming across from Ramsgate, coming down to going down to watch for some football. However, the issues of traffic coming down from Manston Road trying to go onto Shottendane Road are awful. 9 times out of 10, the traffic line goes back past the cemetery and down towards the Manston tip. So, and trying to get out there is a nightmare. I don't think that the traffic plan that they've got within this development makes that any easier. I believe it will make matters worse. That's my opinion. I also cannot support the fact that we may, if and buts, get 30% affordable housing if the developer gets money from somewhere. We can't deal with it. We can't have that. We can't make this decision on that basis. So we've got to look at what we've got, and at sometimes, members, we have to take a stand, right? Whether we lose on appeal, we need to make a stand, And I think we have to make a stand for our residents. We have to make a stand for ourselves, because if we don't do that in this case, if we lose it, and we know that there would be costs. But this is only an outline application. It's not a full application. So I really have concerns with this, and I wish to refuse. I will vote to refuse this, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Albon. I'm going to bring in Mr. Livingstone once again.
Thank you, Chair. Just to come back on the highways point, I think just to give members some clarity with regards to actually the development that's shown on the screen, in fact, because they've superimposed the development at Salmston Grange, which has the resolution to grant for the link through from Nash Lane to Manston Road. As Councillor Albon mentioned specifically, that development would lead to the closure of the Nash Lane arm at Coffin House Corner, with the traffic then routed round through the local distributor standard road to try and reduce the amount of signal times effectively at the junction at Coffin House Corner. But in addition, that development also brought forward a change in alignment and prioritisation at the junction, which is mentioned, of Shottendane Road and Manston Road, that you can see on the screen next to the listed building here. So at the moment, Manston Road joins Shottendane Road, but the prioritisation would change. It would be that Shottendane Road would join Manston Road. And that will demonstrably free up traffic flow through Coffin House Corner. On the basis of that, it's the specific justification linked to the development at Salmston Grange to do that. Now, as members are aware, in the report it very clearly goes through in quite a lot of detail about the assessment that's been done on the basis of transport, specifically with regards to modelling, specifically with regards to traffic flows both generated by this development, but also the traffic flows currently in existence around the site. And in terms of that principle of this having a strategic route through this site to deal with that, that has been adopted by this council. It is in the local plan, and therefore it is allocated and anticipated that will come forward. And so that principle is not up for consideration by members. It's about whether or not the timing of the roads is sufficient, and again that is covered in the report in terms of what would be proposed in terms of getting a prioritisation and a time frame forward, again at reserve matters stage, because obviously this is, as Councillor Albon mentioned, it's an outline stage, so we will be getting more detail about how many houses are on different parcels of land, which would relate to different parts of the routes that are being proposed here, the different links, when they need to come online. That would be part of the considerations that are still to be made, and therefore it is considered that this has been looked at in detail by KCC Highways. It was looked at in detail in a local plan examination, and therefore it would bring forward in officers' views and in the local plan's view benefits to the road network. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, and before I bring Councillor Garner in, if I may just touch on to Councillor Albon and to Mr. Livingstone, it is not Nash Lane that's going to be blocked up, it is Nash Road. Okay, and that, having lived in that area, it is a major, I don't want to embarrass anyone, but that is a Nash Road.
No, thank you for that, Chair. I got me roads and lanes mixed up.
I know you always do, but it is an important fact. Nash Lane is completely different to Nash Road. So, thank you.
I was just waiting to see who was first to pick that up, Chair.
I thought you might be, Councillor Albon. Nothing changes. Councillor Garner.